I think it's helpful to hear that this is common and that it's normal. I think that the hardest thing for women is just being confused and having a doctor be dismissive, or just as you said, just kind of focus on, below the bikini line versus the whole body experience that menopause is. Now, during our Women's Health Summit, you shared some slides that I found really fascinating and revealing. I think we're going to take a look at one of them, which I believe is a woman's brain. Oh, two of them, before menopause and after menopause. Tell me what we're seeing in this before menopause brain. What do all these colors mean?
So this is the very first study that we did looking at the brain before and after menopause. And just for context, this study was published in 2017 and was the first brain imaging study looking at women's brains before and after menopause, which I find surprising as a woman. These scans are called positron emission tomography scans, or PET scans for short, PET. And we're looking at brain energy levels. So we use the tracer called fluorodeoxyglucose, which marks the way the glucose, the simple sugar, is taken up in the brain and burnt to make energy. So what we're looking at before menopause is a very healthy, very active looking brain, a very energized brain, where red and yellow colors, the brightest colors, mean high brain energy levels. And then the green shade is a lower brain energy level, and the blue inside the brain is fluid, which is perfectly normal. There has to be fluid inside the brain. So this was the brain scan of a woman who was 43 years old when she came in for the first time. And then we were able to repeat brain scans over time, which we do for all our participants. And we also got a picture of her brain right after the transition to menopause, just about 8 years later. And that's the brain to the right. And if you notice, the red color, there's a lot more yellow after menopause, and there's a lot more green. It's like the red turned yellow and the yellow turned green as she went through menopause. And quantitatively, that's about a 30% reduction in brain energy levels.
So these changes look pretty startling to somebody who's not, a scientist like yourself. Should this be frightening
Right.
to women?
No, no,
The red,
no.
the red is
No.
gone. You're losing a lot of that high energy. What does that mean, and what can I do to get it back?
This is not a terrible jump. So if you start from a high level of brain energy, a 30% change is obvious on the brain scans, but it's not a sign of a deficiency or a neurodegenerative process. This is a sign of menopause. It's something that happens to many women's brains, in our studies at least. This is pretty average. And what it says is a couple of things that I think are interesting and important. Number one, women are not making things up, right? We're basically validating what countless women have been saying for centuries, which is that menopause changes your brain. Many women can feel these changes in their brain energy levels, their biochemistry. They can actually experience the transition. So these concerns really should not be dismissed. I find that a lot of my research is basically about validating what women's experiences and making sure that people take them seriously. And then the other part of the puzzle is then this transition that the brain is going to is accompanied by changes in brain energy levels, changes in neuronal concentration, the gray matter changes, the connectivity changes, the biochemistry changes, blood flow changes. And this can lead to some of the symptoms of menopause, the brain symptoms that we're trying to alleviate for so many women. So this is important because now that we know what happens in the brain, we are in a better position to make sure that the treatments work and that maybe different solutions are being developed and found, which also take into account the physiology, the neurophysiology of menopause.